officer was on the highway. We was on the highway, and we had saw the police officer. The police officer had almost pushed us off the road, and he was driving really fast.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
And it was a white car. It was a Ford, and it was like a new police car.
All right. I'm sorry that happened.
Oh, it's okay.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah. She gave me that phone.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you tell me what what happened from in your words?
Oh yeah. So we're driving. First of all, I'm really busy today, so I had to go to Macy's because I had to pick up something. And the Macy's is located off of 59 and Taylor. Not 59 Taylor. It's a Memorial, but you have to pass like the Heights area and everything. So I'm driving, and the funny thing is, there's another car in the other lane, beside me. And the police was getting in on the highway, but he was, in the lane beside me. And then for some reason, like out of nowhere, he just tried to like run us off the road. And I'm really cautious driving, because I got kids in my car. So I could feel like something wasn't right. And I hurried up and I quickly, got over to the next lane, and I beat the horn, and I just kept beeping it at him, and he just like started. He was like going so fast. When I started beeping the horn at him, he just like took off full speed, maybe 100 miles per hour.
Did he have his lights on, or?
No. He had his lights on.
And you're 100% sure it was deliberate?
I mean, what other kind of cop would try to run you off the road? Like, why would they do something like that? I mean, I never even seen them make mistakes like that. Yeah. It had to be.
Yeah, I told someone else who what happened, and they said if they're in your shoes, they would have thought it was deliberate and that it was connected to what happened before.
Well, yeah, because they just went up in my house. I mean, that's just like, okay, they just went in my house last week. Now they're trying to run me off the road, so. And another thing he did in front of people.
Yes.
That is a busy highway. That is I-10.
And it was
going into Katy.
It was about 10:30 your time, correct, or?
No, it was about 11:30.
Oh, okay. Let's see. All right, so, one thing also I think is important for the viewers to hear that during our last interview, can you tell them what happened at the end of the interview?
When I got pissed off?
No,
when the sheriff called me?
Yes.
Okay, well, that was actually like a minute before we hung up. I did a phone call from a 713 number, and I'm like, well, I really don't know this phone number. So I called it back after we hung up. And it was, I guess he called himself the sergeant, precinct 6. And he told me a whole different story than what they told me that night when I went up to precinct 6 in the courthouse. This time he's telling me, well, they were there, but they didn't go, to break your door or anything. And I'm like, well, why were they at my house, and why were they at the house with the previous owner, and why was my door broke? He said, ma'am, I can assure you that they did not go in your house, but yes, they were there. And I kept asking him, well, why would they be here at my house? Is there something wrong? Did I do something wrong? No. Don't worry about it. It was nothing. I'm like, this doesn't sound right, I mean, I know, the neighborhood I stayed in wasn't the most perfect neighborhood, but I never get in trouble. I don't have a criminal history or anything, so they didn't have any reason to be in my house. And of course, they, broke my door because everyone saw them do it and my door was broke. So who else broke my door, right before I came home? And, so I'm really pissed off about it, but, I mean, I can't prove it. The only have is my neighbor, who is the police chief, and my aunt across the street, and the other family beside her. That's the only proof that I have, and my door being broke, you know?
And then, do you have pictures of that, or?
Well, since I moved here, you know, to the new house, I do have to go back later and pick up the PlayStation. I left it on the floor, I forgot. I'll take some pictures.
Also, was that guy's stuff, the resident who lived before you, his stuff was gone after the break-in, right?
Exactly. And there, yes, the police sergeant told me that he went in after. There's no freaking way he went in after. You know why?
Why?
Because from the time that they came, wasn't a long time, you know, distance from the time that I came back, and I didn't leave no more that day.
All right.
So that doesn't make any sense. How is he going to come back when at that point the whole neighborhood is standing outside trying to figure out, you know, why, you know, they're breaking in my house like that, you know?
All right. So, one thing I want to keep this short. I just want to discuss some of the philosophies.
Oh, we were recording? I didn't know we were recording.
All right.
Awesome. I didn't know that.
All right. I just want to discuss some of the philosophies that allow them to do this. See, America was founded during the Age of Enlightenment. A lot of people do not understand that the Illuminati is absolutely key in the founding of America, and that the philosophies that the founding fathers and the Illuminati have in common, you know, are inseparable. They're the same. It has to do with deism, among other things. Deism led us to Satanism, feminism, homosexuality, the atheist movements as a result of the Enlightenment, the eugenics, okay, and criminality. Now, let me just define deism for you. Deism is a theological or philosophical position that combines the rejection of revelation and authority as a source of religious knowledge with the conclusion that reason and observation of the natural world are sufficient to determine the existence of a single creator of the universe. So deism is saying that the revelation of John, or of prophets, is not the authority of the source of religious knowledge, but scientific observation of the natural world are sufficient to determine the existence of a single creator. So, deists do not believe in the inerrancy of the Bible. In other words, they believe that the Bible has errors. For example, deism gained prominence among intellectuals during the Age of Enlightenment, especially in Britain, France, Germany, and the United States, who, raised as Christians, believed in one God but became disenchanted with organized religion and notions such as the Trinity, biblical inerrancy, and the supernatural interpretation of events such as miracles. Included in those influenced by its ideas were leaders of the American and French Revolution. Now this is on record. Mainstream history. The founding fathers of the American, the principles of Jacobinism, the French Revolution, and the Illuminism, the Illuminati, and the American Revolution were noted by George Washington in a letter that's in the Library of Congress. He said nobody is more sure or more satisfied of the fact that the principles of the Illuminati had snuck into the Masonic lodges. Now, when I read you this section about the Enlightenment, it will connect the Masonic lodges to the Enlightenment movement that's founded America. The Enlightenment, known in French as the Siècle des Lumières, the Century of Enlightenment, and in German as the Aufklärung, was a philosophical movement which dominated the world of ideas in Europe in the 18th century. The Enlightenment included a range of ideas centered on reason as the primary source of authority and legitimacy, and came to advance ideals such as liberty, progress, tolerance, fraternity, constitutional government, and ending the abuses of the church and state. In France, the central doctrines of the Lumière were individual liberty and religious tolerance in opposition to the principle of absolute monarchy and the fixed dogmas of the Roman Catholic Church. The Enlightenment was marked by increased empiricism, scientific rigor, and reductionism, along with increased questioning of religious orthodoxy. French historians traditionally place the Enlightenment between 715, the year that Louis XIV died, and 1789, the beginning of the French Revolution. Some recent historians began the period in the 1620s with the start of the scientific revolution. The philosophies, the French term for the philosophers of the period, philosophers, widely circulated their ideas through meetings at scientific academies, Masonic lodges, literary saloons, and coffee houses, and through printed books and pamphlets. This is key as well. This shows you that this is a widespread conspiracy of people who are trying to push the philosophies of the Founding Father. Anyway, going on. The ideas of the Enlightenment undermined the authority of the monarchy and the church. Now, this is important as well. You know, there was some good in undermining the authority of dictators, but by undermining the authority of the church, so would the morality of the Bible be undermined. If you remember earlier, I talk about how these people do not believe in the inerrancy of the Bible. They do not believe in revelations to prophets, and those revelations include, you know, God telling the prophets that some people were wrong for homosexuality, for adultery, for thieving, for going against the doctrines of God. Okay, so anyway, and paved the way for the revolutions of the 18th and 19th century. A variety of 19th century movements, including liberalism and neoclassicism, trace their intellectual heritage back to the Enlightenment. So this shows you that in the 1800s, you know, going on from the 1700s to the 1800s, they still kept up the Enlightenment. Now, this is going to be the nail in the coffin. Sol Invictus, unconquered sun, was the official sun god of the later Roman Empire and a patron of soldiers. In 274 AD, the Roman Empire Aurelian made it an official cult alongside the traditional Roman cults. Scholars disagree about whether the new deity was a refoundation of the ancient Latin cult of the Sol, a revival of the cult of Elagabalus, or completely new. The god was favored by emperors after Aurelian and appeared on their coins until Constantine I. The last inscription referring to Sol Invictus dates to AD 387, and there were enough devotees in the 5th century that Augustine found it necessary to preach against him. So, this shows you that, you know, the official cult of the Roman Empire, 274 years after Christ, was Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, which is an amalgamation or a combination of all different aspects of pagan gods into one sun god. And that Augustine spoke against them in 387, which is about 63 years after the Council of Nicaea, which came up with the Nicene Creed, which would help determine which books went into the Bible. The tradition dating from the 12th century, that was the near solstice date of 25 December for Christmas, was selected because it was the date of the Roman festival of De Natalis Solis Invicti, birthday of the unconquered sun, also the festival of Saturnalia, I might add, and is now challenged by some scholars of the Church of England. Different explanations for the date similarity are considered to be academically thoroughly viable hypotheses by some. Both theories have supporters, with some claiming that the festival of Dies Natalis Solis Invicti was later synchronized with Christmas, and others saying that the Christian celebration may predate the festival of the Dies Natalis Solis Invicti. So, you know, I'm going to explore this in the comments with you, and I'll talk to you about this on the phone as well. But what they are saying, without any doubt, is that the deists believe more in the way that the Roman Empire believes. America is kind of like a new Rome from the, a new Egypt from the Roman perspective. And the God that the deists believe in is more like the Solus the Sol Invictus, unconquered sun, the sun god, S-U-N, rather than the Son of God in the Bible. Okay, so the people in charge believe in deism, which has allowed them to adopt a combination of pagan gods and to describe God in the term of paganism. Pagans believed in natural explanations to things.
In terms.
Okay? They believe that, you know, the harvest, and they talk about nature and the water god and so on. Well, I want to end it here. I'm going to explore this more in the comments with you, but what I've said hopefully will wake up.
Despite the fact they did this horrible thing to my fiance and her children, a police officer, today around 10:30, March 1st, 2016 on Teller and I-10, I believe it was. I'll put it in the comments, or it should be in the same video as the interview. I'm pretty calm. And for those of you who are stupid enough to think that these whites and Jews in charge wouldn't do such a thing, ask yourself, why wasn't it a white or Jewish scientist? Why wasn't it the government or some controlled opposition group that exposed the lead in the Flint's water when the residents have been complaining for years? Where was the outrage? Oh, that's right, you're controlled by a bunch of pharmacologists, a bunch of chemists and alchemists, such as the Berzelius Society, EDL, and other controlled opposition, and you don't care about them drugging us covertly.
While her 3-year-old daughter Malia plays, Chia Morgan worries about the consequences the lead in Flint, Michigan's water supply will have on her child.
Can you drink that water, though? It's very scary as a parent, you know, to think she could come down with a deficit later in life.
For kids, there is no level of lead exposure that is safe.
Lead exposure has been known, or has been called, a silent pediatric epidemic. It's a neurotoxin, so it affects your brain. It impacts your cognition and your behavior, so it actually drops your IQ. We won't see these symptoms for years to come. It is a problem of tomorrow.
That's why the Flint Child Health and Development Fund is focusing on the future. The fund is helping families get aid and resources.
It spans many domains. Education is huge. So early literacy programs, universal preschools, getting these kids great nutrition access right now, boosting up their levels of iron and vitamin C and calcium. All these things limit the absorption of lead.
For Chia and her daughter, the fund is providing hope.
A lot of people have...
It's funny how those things boost your immune system, but doctors never want to talk about nutrition when they talk about mental health, for instance. I bet they're going to start talking about it now that I pointed it out, and they're going after the natural medicine practitioners, and, just to show you they don't care about our children. They don't care about places where minorities are, especially. They're turning a blind eye. Law enforcement, environmental protections agencies, the different agencies that are supposed to regulate this, they absolutely failed. This liberal administration failed. Michigan failed. These conservatives, these liberals, these controlled opposition groups failed. The so-called civil rights activists we supposedly have, they're silent about eugenics. They're silent about covert drugging. They're silent about these things. Where's the outrage? Where's the Black Lives Matter outrage? Oh, that's right, you're a bunch of eugenicists and secret societies that don't want to highlight the major problems and the 65 million preventable deaths annually.
Pose the question, is it as bad as it seems? It is worse than what you could ever imagine. And just keep the support coming and keep the prayers coming.
Also keep in mind that they did not lift a finger to do anything about it. Okay? They didn't. These people need to have support coming because the government did not, do anything really about it. Declaring a state of emergency and not doing anything about it, like they did with, Hurricane Katrina. I mean, they don't care about us. Long-term effects. Remember, before this came out in the news, I was talking about the long-term effects of covert drugging. Okay, I knew this. I was telling you that they are covertly drugging us before this came out. I was telling you, you thought I was insane. You thought that I was stupid. You thought I was a conspiracy theorist. I said, look, the whites and the Jews are covertly drugging minority communities. It's not just giving us worse education. They are drugging us. They are dumbing us down with the food, the water, with the prescription drugs. They do permanent neurological damage, birth defects, developmental disorders. You people did not want to admit that I was right. Now that they try to run my family off the road, a police officer in broad daylight, all those people on the road, none of them called 911. Why do you people just want them to kill us? Why do you want them to do permanent damage to our brains? Why do you want big pharmaceuticals and the government and secret societies and all these controlled opposition cowards in Ivy League schools and their pussy political groups? Why don't you do anything about it? Why are you so scared? Am I the only warrior left? My fiance is a woman. She's a little woman. with 5 kids, and she's standing up to them. What excuse do you people possibly have? You are cowards.
So, did that atheist guy really tell you to provoke me to go to the psych ward?